Hey guys, it's Ro. Welcome to another Nerdy Nummies. Earth Day is a few days away. It is coming up soon, so I thought let's make something to celebrate. Today I'm going to be making something very delicious because you get to pick 5 of your favorite types of cake because we are going to make a Earth Sediment layer cake. It's going to look really cool because when you cut into it, it's going to look like the different layers under the ground, like what is below our feet. Pretty neat. The 5 different sediment cake layers that we're going to be making today are a chocolate cake for the organic layer, which is at the top right below our feet, and then a carrot cake for the topsoil layer, a walnut cake for the subsoil layer, a cookies and cream cake for the parent material layer, and then a vanilla cake for the bedrock layer. Let's get started. We are going to be making the vanilla and cookies and cream cake at the same time because it's the same recipe. We're doing a double batch. Only one of them will have a bunch of cookies. All right, so the things you'll need for these 2 layers will be 2 cups of broken Oreos, 1.5 cups of sugar, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of whole milk, 1/4 cup of vegetable shortening, 1/2 cup of salted butter, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 5 eggs, we're just going to be using the whites, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract. Now let's put it all together. The first thing that we're going to do is separate our egg whites. You're going to take your egg, crack it open, let the egg whites fall into the bowl, jiggle back and forth, and then plop. Then you're going to do this to the rest of your eggs. Once you've separated your eggs, I've just set them off to the side, and now we're going to combine our dry ingredients into this bowl right here, starting with our flour. Pour in the flour, baking powder, and salty. Then we're going to whisk together till everything is well combined. Just put the dry ingredients off to the side, and now we are going to cream together in a big bowl our butter, shortening, and sugar. We're just going to mix it up till it's light and fluffy. We've got our butter and sugar all mixed up over here, and then we've got our egg whites. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add 1/2 of our egg whites to our butter mixture, mix it up until you can't see any more egg, scrape down the sides with the spatula, then we're gonna add the other 1/2 of our egg mixture, mix it up again, and scrape it down. Then you're gonna add your extracts and mix it up one more time. And now we're gonna combine our ingredients. We have our wet ingredients, dry, and the milk over here. It's a little bit of a science, but it's very easy. We're gonna add our dry ingredients in thirds, and we're gonna add our milk in half. So what that means is you're gonna start with dry, you're gonna add your dry, mix it up, scrape it down, add 1/2 of the milk, mix it up, scrape it down, another 1/3 of the dry, mix it up, scrape it down, the other 1/2 of the milk, mix it up, scrape it down, and the last of the dry, mix it up, scrape it down. Now that our batter is ready, it is time to make our cakes. Over here I have 2 8-inch round cake pans. I've lined each of them with a piece of parchment paper at the bottom and greased both of them. In one of our pans, we're gonna line the bottom with all of our cookies. Just spread them around, try to make them as even as possible. Now we're gonna pour 1/2 the batter into each pan. You can just eyeball it. That's what I do. I recommend baking with a friend so you have a helper. Or you can do this. This is a good one, guys. Put your knee up for support. Put it right on there. Scrapey, scrapey. Then with your cookie cake, I'm just gonna give it a few taps on the counter to let the batter sink down between the cookies. Now you're gonna heat your oven to 350 degrees and bake these cakes for 30 to 45 minutes. Just keep your eye on it. The next cake that we're gonna be making is our walnut subsoil layer cake, and the recipe that I'm using is cut in half because we just need 1 thin layer of cake. The things you'll need will be 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 6 tablespoons of ground walnuts, 1/2 cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of buttermilk, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons of shortening, 2 tablespoons of salted butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a pinch of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then for the bottom of the cake, you will need 2 cups of walnut halves and pieces, 3 tablespoons of dark corn syrup, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Now let's put it all together. We're whooping up our second cake. The first thing that we're gonna do is combine all of our dry ingredients into this bowl. We're gonna combine our flour, ground walnuts, baking soda, and salt. Then we're gonna whisk them together till they're well combined. I set the dry ingredients off to the side, and now we are going to cream together our butter, sugar, and shortening in this mixing bowl. Now we're gonna add our egg and vanilla extract to the mixture. We're gonna give it a really good mix. We're gonna mix it up, scrape down the sides using your spatula, and then mix again. Now we're gonna add our dry ingredients and our buttermilk into our wet ingredients, alternating, starting with dry and ending with dry. So we'll add dry, milk, dry, milk, dry. Mixing between each one and scraping down the sides. It's time to put together our walnut cake. Here I have an 8-inch round like before. It is lined with a piece of parchment paper at the bottom and already greased. Then we've got our batter over here. But what we're gonna do first is we're gonna take all of these yummy walnuts. Oh my gosh, I have to have one just for a snack. Our little walnuts are gonna be our rocks in the soil, so you're gonna pour them first into the pan. Then you're gonna take your brown sugar and you're gonna sprinkle it all around. Then we're gonna drizzle the dark corn syrup on the top, and then we're gonna top it off with our batter. Just gonna scoop it in. Now I'm gonna smooth out the top using my spatula. Just be careful not to drag the walnuts on the bottom of the pan. Now our cake's ready to bake. You're gonna heat your oven to 350 degrees like before and bake for 30 to 45 minutes. Just keep your eye on it. The fourth cake that we're gonna make is our carrot cake. It is for our topsoil layer. The things you'll need will be 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 3 cups of shredded carrots, 1 cup of brown sugar, 6 tablespoons of butter, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of salt, a pinch of nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Now let's put it all together. Over here we're gonna be whisking together all of our dry ingredients, and then over here we are gonna be mixing our wet ingredients, and then we're gonna add our wet ingredients to our dry. To start, I'm gonna add my flour, brown sugar, baking powder, nutmeg, salty, baking soda, and cinnamon. Now we're gonna whisk them together until they're well combined. Now we're gonna mix together our wet ingredients over here in this bowl. We're gonna pour in our butter, I've melted it, vanilla, and our egg. We're gonna take our whisk and mix it together until it's well combined. Oh, now we're gonna add our wet ingredients into our dry. I'm just gonna pour it in. Then we're gonna use a spatula. Just mix together till everything is well combined. All right, now we're gonna add our shredded carrots. Look how colorful this is. This is so cool. And just mix it together using your spatula. Topsoil's ready for the oven. Again, we've got our little 8-inch round and I've lined it with a piece of parchment paper and greased it. Now you're gonna pour your batter into the pan. Here we go. Now we're gonna smooth it out with our spatula. Heat your oven to 350 degrees and bake for about 30 minutes. The fifth and final cake that we're gonna be making is our organic layer cake. It's the top and it's gonna be a chocolate cake. Ooh, this may be my favorite. I love chocolate cake. The things you will need will be 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, half a cup of cocoa powder, 3/4 cup sugar, half a cup of milk, half a cup of water, 3/4 teaspoon baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon vanilla, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 cup of oil, and 1 egg. Now let's put it all together. I love this cake because just like the carrot cake, this recipe is super easy to make. We have 2 bowls. Over here we are going to be combining our dry ingredients and whisking them all together, and then over here we are going to be combining all of our wet ingredients and mixing them all together. All right, let's start with our dry in this bowl over here. Gonna add our sugar, flour, cocoa powder, our chocolate, baking powder, baking soda, and salty. And whisk them together. Now we're gonna mix together our wet ingredients, starting with our egg. Want the whole egg? We're just gonna whisk it up to break the yolk. Then we're gonna add our milk, our water, oil, and vanilla. Then mix together till it's well combined. And same as the carrot cake, now we are gonna pour our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients. Pour it all in. Then using a spatula, I'm gonna mix it together. We've got our chocolate batter ready and I'm gonna pour it into the pan. Same way that we did before. I've lined it with a piece of parchment paper and greased it. If you spill some in your mouth, that's okay. Bro, where'd this layer go? I don't know. Now we're just gonna smooth out the top and heat your oven to 350 degrees and bake for about 30 minutes. Once your cakes are done baking and have had plenty of time to cool, you don't want to do this while they're still warm because they crumble a lot. It's not easy to level them. I've leveled all of the cakes so that they sit about an inch tall, and now we are going to assemble them over here. I've got a little cake plate, but you can use any type of plate that you'd like, and it's sitting on top of a little cake turntable. And over here we've got some chocolate frosting and caramel frosting, little plastic baggies. I put them in there to be a little bit easier. You're gonna take your chocolate frosting, put a little dab on your cake plate, boop, and then we're gonna place on our vanilla cake first. Then take your chocolate frosting, ice the top. I'm attempting to spread the frosting about 1/4 inch thick. Just cover the top. Next, we are gonna place our cookies and cream cake on top of our chocolate frosting. This is our parent material layer. And oh, look at that, all the little rocks. We're gonna pipe a layer of the chocolate frosting around, and then we're gonna fill it in with the caramel frosting. Then we're gonna stack our walnut cake. This is the subsoil level. Oh, look at that. That looks so cool, you guys. We're gonna ice the top of this one the same, a border of chocolate with caramel in the middle. On to my mom's favorite cake, the carrot cake, which is gonna be our topsoil layer. Oh, this is so cool. Place it right on top, ice with a little bit of chocolate, smooth it out, and then it'll be time for our last layer. Woohoo! Our cake is assembled, and now we are gonna frost. I'm just gonna be frosting the whole cake in chocolate frosting. Oh, I'm gonna start on the top and work my way down the sides. We've frosted the cake, and now it is time for my favorite part. It is time to decorate. For decoration, all I have is some crumbed cake. Remember when I said to level the cake before we stacked them? This was the extra scraps, and I just crumbed them together with my hands. Then over here, I've just got some buttercream frosting that I've dyed green. I put it into a plastic baggie, and I put a grass tip at the end. Look at that. We've used this before. You guys may be familiar with this one. Take a little handful of our chocolate cake crumbs, and we're just gonna press them on the sides. There's probably a less messy way to do this, but it's not as fun. Now we're just gonna decorate the top of the cake with a bunch of little frosting grass. My tip is I like to hold it a little bit above the cake and boop, pull up. That's pretty cool. Then you're gonna cover the rest of your cake. Ta-da! Here is our Earth 5-layer sediment cake that we made today. You guys, this is super special because we have never on Nerdy Nummies made 5 different kinds of homemade cake from scratch before. This is awesome. The reason I really love this cake is because when you cut into it and you have a slice, there are 5 different cakes to taste from. So you don't have to just wait for one favorite cake. You can eat all of them. And if there's one that your friend doesn't like, they can just skip that layer and give it to you. I will be posting lots of pictures of this Earth cake on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. And if you guys make this cake, please take a picture and send it to me. I love seeing your baking creations. I just get a big kick out of it. It makes my day. And if you have any other ideas for any other Nerdy Nummies, let me know. Leave me a comment down below and I will do my best to make it happen. All right, happy Earth Day. Bye-bye. And let's cut into this. Let's see those layers. Yep. Oh, amazing! Ta-da! It looks so cool. We've got the organic layer, the topsoil layer, the subsoil layer, parent material layer, and the bedrock layer. Finally gonna have a slice, and I can have like 5 taste tests. That's what's going on here. Oh, I'm gonna start with bedrock, my vanilla cake. Now cookies and cream. Right now our walnut cake. Subsoil is my new favorite. I'll just have to take one more bite just to be sure. Now our carrot cake. That would be my mom's favorite. She loves carrot cake. That is a really good recipe. Here's our organic layer, our chocolate cake. Yes. If I had to pick a favorite, I think it's the chocolate layer because I love chocolate, but the layers just keep getting better and better and better and better. And when you can make a cake like this, you don't have to pick a favorite cake because it's all one.